Hello, everyone. UNA USA is filled with so many passionate members who are making some incredible differences in their communities. Some are doing it within one of our leadership programs, some are doing it within some of the wonderful chapters we have across the country, and others are doing it on their own as they try to bring along others along the way. And the last piece is really why we're here right now. The SDG Service Project Pitch is an opportunity to provide financial support to a member who is creating these opportunities for change, for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is about the third time that we've held this opportunity. And through this initiative, we really hope to help members realize their passion, their skills, and most importantly, their hopes for the future. So soon you will hear 4 project pitches from 5 finalists: Julianne Wang, Thea Louise Dye and Wendy Nguyen, Carolyn Constantine, and Greta McLean. But we told them they couldn't do just any presentation. They had to use exactly 15 slides that will only be up for 15 seconds each, totaling just over 4 minutes. Additionally, they can only use images. Within these restrictions, they must pitch their idea and leave us inspired. Once the time limit is up, even if they haven't finished, we're moving on to the next presentation. So presentations will be evaluated based on style. So were they engaging? Was it interesting? As well as substance. Did they clearly communicate their idea? Does this idea show a clear community impact? And we have 3 judges here with us today to help determine who the winner will be. And the winner of $500, I'll say. So please join me in giving a big welcome and thank you to Barbara Hendry, who is the Director for the UN Environmental Program of the North American Office, to Elaine Smith-Genzer, who's the Head of Partnerships at the UN Joint SDG Fund, and to our very own Rachel Bowen Pittman, Executive Director of UNA USA. But it won't only be up to them. Audience rankings will be a factor as well. So whether you're in person or watching us online, please stay with us to the end so that you can cast your own rankings and help us congratulate the winner as we announce them live today. And I'm so very excited for you to hear from our finalists. And in selecting them, we considered whether their project was feasible, whether they clearly communicated what their project was about and how it connected to the SDGs, as well as the creativity of their project and how it really addressed or spread awareness about an issue, among other factors. And while there were quite a few great ideas, we had to narrow it down to just 4. So why don't we go ahead and hear from them? You'll hear from 1 in person with us here today, and the 3 others will be joining us virtually. And once we get started, we're going to go back to back through all of our presentations until we're ready for voting. So I hope that you are excited to see some of these amazing ideas today. Let's get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I am going to make a proposal for CEDAW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. It is under SDG 5, which is gender equality. 10 years ago, on June 5th, I left my hometown, Shanghai, and landed in JFK Airport in New York. I was a 6-year-old girl who barely spoke English. 10 years later, on June 5th, I'm here today at Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., advocating for women's equality. So much can happen within a decade in America, a land of opportunities. But where is the opportunity for CEDAW? In 1979, President Carter signed the UN treaty and sent it to the Senate for ratification, but it didn't get passed. The bad news is, 43 years later, it still hasn't been passed. The United States is one of only 6 countries in the world that has not ratified CEDAW. The other 5 countries are Iran, Somalia, Sudan, Palau, and Tonga. The good news is that President Biden is committed to ratifying CEDAW. A Cities for CEDAW town hall planning meeting was held on April 21st, 2022, followed by monthly meetings. Where I live in Westchester County, New York, UNA Westchester had a meeting with the county executive on March 23rd, and the county executive is determined to push the implementation of CEDAW in Westchester. We have formulated a 2-year detailed action plan. CEDAW has gained momentum in Westchester County, but we still have a long way to go. My SDG proposal is to hold a CEDAW promotion contest in Westchester County, New York. It is targeted to raise community awareness and help the ratification of CEDAW. If I become the winner, the $500 will be used to fund the awards in the CEDAW promotion contest. The awards are Best Poster, Best Slogan, Best Social Media Engagement, Best Photography, High School, University, or Community Organization with the most engagement or most petitions signed. Awards will range from $50 to $100 each. To get the word out, I'm going to connect with human rights clubs in the county. I will make a petition on change.org to ratify CEDAW. With hundreds and thousands of signatures signed, we can spread and show community awareness to legislators. With your support, we can further advance the efforts to provide equal opportunities for women. With your support, we can encourage other municipalities to join our efforts to encourage equal rights. With your support, we can ensure dignity and respect for women and end systematic forms of discrimination and abuse against women in the United States. Now, we are counting on you to help Westchester County to raise community awareness and help the ratification of CEDAW. Your vote will be one step for us and one leap for human rights. Thank you.
We live in an age of globalization, yet extremism and polarization dictate our world. Communication between people with different perspectives, let alone from different countries, is extremely rare.
Enter the US and China, two of the world's most influential, yet fundamentally different nations. Motivated youth from these two countries are the next force of global cooperation as the next problem solvers and policymakers of the world after 2030. Project 17 is a youth-led initiative operating underneath the 17th SDG, Partnerships for the Goal. To continue to make progress on all the SDGs, it is essential to start building trust in the US-China relationship through the minds of young leaders.
Project 17 especially aims to empower girls in global conversations, as women have consistently been left out of positions of international leadership. We hope to provide girls with the resources and skills to engage with the world in a cross-cultural context, shaping them as global leaders for the rest of their lives.
While we plan to focus on building bridges in the US-China relationship through youth participation at first, we hope to grow Project 17 to a truly global initiative by incorporating more countries in the future.
We will expand UNA USA's vision by building a new campus chapter at Castellia School, an all-girls high school in California with sister schools across the world, to create a truly global sisterhood locally tethered to UNA USA's mission.
We also plan to use our connections made from Stanford China Scholar Program and Stanford eChina, as well as collaborating with youth organizations and research centers in China to maximize our impact.
Through our participation in these programs, we have connected with motivated students across both the US and China. And as visualized by this chart, the overwhelming majority that responded to our survey want something like Project 17. However, no global platform like it currently exists.
Not only do people want such a platform, but people need it. We are two high school students studying in the US and China respectively. And we, among many other students, believe in the power of youth perspective to make changes.
And to fulfill our mission, we will host synchronous, seasonal Zoom discussions and asynchronous discussion boards and newsletters. We also plan to invite relevant guest speakers that can address questions and inspire participants about the SDGs.
We plan to meet 4 times a year, focusing on 3 to 5 combined SDGs each time. After our synchronous meeting, We'll provide UNA USA with a paper summarizing our operations. We plan to implement this project by the fall of 2022.
We will start sending informational newsletters to our participants in September. Our first synchronous meeting will be towards the end of November, and the research paper will be completed and reviewed by the end of the year.
We hope to repeat this process 3 more times. The experience of connecting with students from another country is an incredible opportunity, and we want to share its value with a larger audience, namely you.
Our project will provide value for both our participants and UNA USA. By creating a platform where young minds can further discussions about the SDGs, the mission of the UN will be spread across students and girls around the globe. Through working with local UNA USA chapters and building an online forum, we are determined to initiate, promote, and share global conversations. We hope to gain your support in our mission to spread the message of the SDGs across national borders.
My name is Carolyn Considine, and we need a new public square. Today with social media, people create their own reality. They are stuck in information silos, and these silos need to be popped. Justice Murals encourages community-wide discussions on key topics like social justice. Justice Murals has been featured by Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation, CNN, the Art newspaper, the US State Department blog, and on the local news. We will be featured in Steve Pfeiffer's new book, The Moment, Changemakers on Why and How They Joined the Fight for Social Justice. Our work is community-based, and we started in high schools and then expanded to other groups such as museums, juvenile halls, and partnerships with international artists. Some murals are painted on canvas and others on walls, and here's an example of a wall mural. We encourage people to engage by sending in their own drawing of what social justice means to them. These drawings are then synthesized into a powerful collaborative mural. Each painting is different based on what the local community wishes to convey. The great part about social media is that the word travels fast. Justice Murals was lucky to be connected with an organization in Omaha, Nebraska called Spark Positivity. They are planning a mural, and you can see some of the artwork and important words that they wish to convey. Internationally, we work with an organization called Art Lords that has created over 2,000 murals in Afghanistan. They led a grassroots movement to bring artists and Afghan people together to alter the face of Kabul, painting over the blast walls with progressive messages. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan, the first thing they did, even before forming a government, was to paint over these murals, demonstrating the power of art. Art Lords went underground and tried to escape the country, and their work was destroyed. For SDG 16, we support people who flee war. We recreate Art Lords murals in the Bay Area with paint and light projections. We paint at local refugee fairs to welcome new Afghan arrivals, and one of our murals is hung at a food distribution center. It is wonderful when refugees recognize these paintings and are heartened to see a piece of home in their new home. Justice Murals spoke at a national conference in Albuquerque about this topic. Maryland librarians are now planning to create social justice murals with us. We project light murals that highlight critical issues facing both local and international communities. Our murals bring information in a way that cannot be ignored. The images of an 8-year-old Afghan girl killed by a suicide bomber projected at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. For SDG 16, we partnered with Kyiv's Museum Arsenal to support Ukrainian messages of peace. Princeton University offered to help these fleeing Ukrainian artists with temporary teaching positions. A US State Department blog used Justice Murals as an example of America's connection with Ukraine. We did a pop-up projection exhibit with the San Francisco Mexican Museum to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, designed to promote art and culture. The artist was on Instagram Live answering viewers' questions in real time. Justice Murals recently promoted Native Indigenous Month. As an organization, we always listen first so we can learn and understand. We are in discussions with a Native American school in Oklahoma about potentially creating a justice mural for them. For SDG 2, we are partnered with the artist JR's Inside Out project, addressing food insecurity and highlighting 900 food deserts across the Bay Area. For SDG 13, we partnered with the Bay Area Marine Mammal Center to address climate justice. A $500 grant would go a long way to build gallons of paint, canvas, brushes, and more for school murals. We have interest from 5 unplanned local communities, but no way to pay for these materials. Thank you so much for your consideration. It is such an honor.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for this opportunity. This project has been named the Me Too Marquee, and it is a storytelling project that combines both visual art and written word to create powerful and inspiring stories. And recently, we've seen the power of storytelling, how President Zelensky has moved people to action by painting compelling pictures using both words and images. And I firmly believe that this project will also move people to action. Why? Because storytelling, regardless of its form, can be very impactful and inspiring. In fact, it was the impact of this very simple form of storytelling that changed my life. After being raped in 2017, I was a mere hour or so from ending my life. And then I saw the Me Too hashtag for the first time. It saved my life, and it inspired me to turn my pain into a catalyst for good. As a Global Go ambassador, I focus on SDGs 5 and 16, but this project will also encompass 1, 3, and 10, because as we all know, injustices are often intertwined. 73 victims of gender-based violence, particularly sexual violence, will share their story of their individual experiences through drawings. And 73 represents the fact that a woman is raped in the United States every 73 seconds. The art will be displayed in 3 33-foot sections, and the number 3 represents the fact that only about a third of sexual assault victims in the United States report their assault to police. Victims may write a 1 to 2 page synopsis of their experience, focusing on the difficulty of receiving adequate health care due to poverty, or living in a healthcare desert, or experiencing misogyny, racism, or even xenophobia. The project will debut on October 15th, the 5th anniversary of the Me Too movement, and it's also the middle of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And since sexual assault can often be a part of domestic violence, it makes this project even more appropriate. It will be shown around Middle Tennessee through 2023 and around the state and even around the country upon request in 2024, giving UNA USA exposure to different populations on a consistent basis for years to come. There are 4 goals to this project: to help increase awareness, as well as understanding about the prevalence of gender-based violence and how inequality can impact that violence and any other form of violence. To help people understand that Dr. King was right when he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and to realize that social injustices, as well as the SDGs, are all interrelated and impact all of us. And to increase awareness and understanding about the epidemic of sexual violence, as well as the very important work done by UNA USA, and to inspire people to take action and to create positive change in their communities, the country, and the world. And this project will inspire others to start conversations about gender-based violence, to join and become SDG ambassadors, and to demand that our US senators pass the Equality Act immediately. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
I want to say a big thank you to all of our finalists. So now I want to open it up for voting. So judges, please at this time, make sure you fill out and submit your voting sheets. I'm going to have a staff person come and collect them. Her name is Kelly. She's right there in the back. Yes, so if you could come, we have judges up here, just grab their sheet. Everyone else, you see a QR code up here. You have 2 minutes to submit your rankings for the finalists. When you go on, you'll see the finalist's name and a few words to remind you of what their presentation was about. So make sure you also just submit one form ranking for the 4 presentations, ranking them 1st to 4th place by selecting the finalist's name in each ranking. And be sure not to select the same finalists more than once within the form. If you do, unfortunately, we won't be able to count any of your rankings within that form. So what I want you to also keep in mind as you do this is what I mentioned earlier. The creativity, the substance of the presentation. Was it engaging? Did they clearly show the community impact? And is this a project that you really see having an impact in the community and that you would really love to see support? Now, I do want to say I mentioned before, we've done this about 3 times, and we will continue to do this in the future. This is a great way for us to try to support member ideas, and even though we can only give 1 award each time, we have so many members across the country who have amazing ideas about how they can advance the SDGs and really make them local to the people in the community. Because I'm sure a lot of you know, especially our chapter leaders, because I've had many conversations with you, it can sometimes be challenging speaking with people about the UN and the SDGs and getting them to understand what does that look like in their daily lives. A lot of people still think of the SDGs or the UN as something that helps or is something that's involved in other countries, and they don't really see its connection to us here in the US, but it has such a huge impact. And the only way we are going to reach the global goals is if we here in the United States do our part to realize the SDGs at home. So these projects are an amazing way to do that. So you have just 5 or so more seconds to submit your ratings. And then at that time, I will welcome our next speaker. So I mentioned her earlier, Elaine Smith-Genzer, who is the head of partnerships for the UN Joint Fund for SDGs. So Elaine, if you wouldn't mind coming up here.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I need to take a picture of you guys on a Sunday afternoon. So thank you for being here. Just to add a little bit on what Katrina was saying, it's a responsibility of all of us to deliver on the SDG. So here back at home, and it's home for me. I wasn't born in the United States. I was born in Brazil. My parents are here. But I've been working at the UN system for almost 2 years now at the Joint SDG Fund. So my idea is to talk to you a little bit about that and try to convene how is the work that we do at the fund. So a little bit of our governance and things that you're going to be hearing about us going forward. We have a number of different stakeholders that dictate how the fund operates. We sit under the Deputy Secretary General, Ms. Amina Muhammad. If you haven't met her, she's amazing. And we also have what we call the members of our member states that are donors to the fund, being in our strategic advisory group. In our operational steering committee, there are the colleagues that we meet every month, and they are the ones that dictate how we operate. We are talking here, and you're going to see in the next slide as well, but mainly agencies of the UN, different agencies that work with us in different aspects or trying to bring worries in how to operate in different SDGs, as you're going to see further. And the Joint SDG Fund Secretariat, where I work, I have a wonderful team. The head and director of the Joint SDG Fund, Lisa Kerbiel, lives in New York, near headquarters, and she couldn't be here today. So I'm representing the fund. I'm really, really honored and thrilled to be here in the presence of not only you, they're using your Sunday afternoon to be here with us today, but also my parents. Let me see if that moves. All right. So you're going to see here all these little circles. This is everywhere that the fund operates. because we have the capillarity of working with different agencies of the UN, and we are part of the UN system. We are in 151 programs across 25 different entities, so not only agencies, but different entities as well, in 117 countries. And we, so far, deployed about $236 million. The contributions to all SDGs, about 2/3 of them, so more than half, goes to SDGs 1, 2, 5, 10, and 17, and 61% of the funds go to low developing countries. And as SIDS, there are small islands and developing state. I hope you can see here, but I will explain a little bit on how the fund works. But basically, we receive money from donors. So coming from your left hand to the right, the donors are supposed to give us about $300 million a year. That hits the Joint SDG Fund, and we have about 4 levels of contributions on how we fund different joint programs of the UN. From $200,000, as we call a design grant, where countries tell us we want to do this, and we approve them or not. And all the way to $10 million to catalytic grant. We have about 10 countries that you're going to see later who they are and what they are doing. And then, of course, we have financing policy grant and social protection policy grant as well, about $1 or $2 million. So as I said before, those $236 million is spread out to 117 countries, make about that combination. The current donors, European Union and governments of Denmark, Germany, these are in alphabetical orders, no size, Ireland, Luxembourg, Monaco, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Republic of Korea, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. Who is missing? Yes, the US. So we really are trying hard. The fund was created in 2018, between 2018 and 2019, in a different administration where new lines of contribution was being given to the UN. So we are still, we were mentioned by the budget of the Senate and the House this budget 2022. We hope to not only be mentioned 2023, but also receive some resources, because we really believe that the United States have an important role to bring others. They are not there either. And we can say out loud here, Canada, Japan, UK, and other countries that is still not contributing to the Joint SDG Fund. Implementing agencies, I told you before, there are over 20, almost 30, but the main ones, or the ones that get most of the resources, UNICEF and UNDP, but we have pretty much all of them. This is how we work. So from integrated policy, where we really try to accelerate SDGs through integrated policy changes. So we really work close to the governments to do that. And SDG financing, my particular area, where we leverage the SDG financing through enabling environment measures and catalytic investments. So the Joint SDG Fund is the first one in some countries where we invest in an idea. They are led by the government and those agencies, and then we are happy to bring other partners as well. There are usually developing finance institutions, private sector, and all. My role as head of partnerships and engagement is really trying to bring that consortium together. Here are some numbers for you, but you can see that since the beginning, 147 million people access new or extended social protection in 39 countries, and of that, 50% are women. 211 million were additional financing that catalyzed part of what we did. So they are extra from not our donors, but people that saw our role as a catalytic investor and came with us. And 100% of the joint programs are implementing interventions on gender and human rights. So it's part of, let's say, the evaluation that we bring to have a gender mark and a human rights mark in all of them. So all those 117 countries are covering for that. And I believe my sorry about that. Integrated SDG financing strategies, you're going to see that we work through governance and coordination, monitoring and review, financing strategy, and assessment and diagnostics. It's important to deliver on the SDGs, and it's important to measure them and support the governments that we are helping to really measure and deliver on what they need to do. So it's part of our role at the fund to support those joint programs in doing that. Those 10 joint programs that I mentioned before, they receive up to $10 million from us, are the ones mentioned there: Suriname, Uruguay, North Macedonia, Malawi, Madagascar, Zimbabwe, Indonesia, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and Kenya in red. I just came back from Nairobi, so I'm really excited to tell about them. The different of colors is basically the topic. So green is in climate, energy efficiency. Suriname and Malawi, they're yellow in agriculture and food security and food systems. Kenya in health and leave no one behind. And also Fiji and Papua New Guinea is on blue economy. You have a lot of numbers there, but basically we are investing 114 million in those 10 countries where there is a combination of different SDGs. So far, I've been talking to over 5 minutes here, and you haven't heard me saying SDG 5 or SDG 10 or SDG 17, basically because all of our programs need to have a joint SDG approach, a theory of change that not only we are worried about the gender mark or the human rights mark, but also creating jobs or being concerned with environment, land or oceans, and etc. So it is a joint SDG in terms of not only having a lot of different stakeholders, but also different SDGs being covered. I'm sorry if they came back. So I mentioned before, what are the sectors? There are more details that we can make available for you later. And this is the instruments that we have created to increase that resources. So when I mentioned before that we are not the only ones, that we bring the private sector and other participants in the market, is because we are creating bonds or sovereign wealth fund instruments, impact funds, sovereign bonds, lending facilities, individual transactions, as well as creating incubators and technical assistance facilities for small and mid enterprises. And with that, I'll thank you.
Okay, so the time has come to announce the winner of the 2022 Service Pitch Project Pitch Competition. But before I do so, I want to thank all of our finalists for their great ideas on how to advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. No matter the results, I hope you see their ideas as a fruition to what we can do to make a difference in the world. I also want to give a special thank you to my co-judges, Elaine Gintzer, and also Barbara Hendry, the director of the UN Environment Program's North America office, for their participation today. I enjoyed judging with you guys, even though it was a very tough decision. And now for the announcement. The 2022 SDG Project Pitch Plenary goes to, drum roll, Julian Wang. Congratulations on winning this year's award. Thank you all, and all the other judges, you all, thank you all for participating. And thank you once again to the participants of the competition. I thought all the ideas were inspiring. Coming up next is the closing plenary featuring the United Nations Environment Program, which will lead us into the celebration of World Environment Day. So don't go too far. from your seats because we're going to begin in about 5 minutes. Thank you.